welcome to the second episode of our podcast that we have not yet named.
Yeah, we're taking naming suggestions.
Yes, and people aren't really that great at naming suggestions, I don't think.
We're not even great at it.
No. Since we don't have one. So I'm Gretchen.
And I'm Kelley.
And we are here to talk today about what it's like to be, a professional woman in the workplace. So I have a master's degree and I'm working on a second master's degree, but kind of just for fun. Just because, I don't know that I'll do anything with an MBA, but I figured I should do it since I work at a university and I get the option to have it. And I am in a position where I am not a director, and I really like not being a director. I like having the flexibility to do stuff with my kids. I like being able to help people and not be tied up in meetings and bigger policy discussions. My strength is helping people and working one-on-one with them, and that's where I like to be involved. And so part of my struggle with my professional life is feeling like maybe I should be striving to do more and make more and do more stuff, or I've been at the same place for almost 11 years and I'm really happy there, and I could probably make more money if I left, but I don't want to leave this town, and I really like the people I work with. So, but also feeling like maybe am I getting too stagnant by doing the same thing? But I really like it, so I don't know. That's where my professional dilemma is. So, Kelley, what's your professional dilemma? So,
one of the points that Gretchen has raised to my attention, and she's not the first person. This actually has been an interesting debate for quite a while, ever since I earned my PhD in 2013. So, I earned my PhD in 2013, and there's a decision to be made in academia if you're going to refer to yourself or have students refer to you as Dr. Strout, which would be, honestly, there are a lot of people that I've known along the way in academia who are firm. They always go by doctor. They have the students call them doctor. They're very comfortable with it. And then others have different philosophical beliefs about going by that term. And I have been in the camp of just going by my first name. It actually makes me uncomfortable physically even to say it, Dr. Strout. I don't even know if I've ever publicly referred to myself that way.
Really?
Yeah, I can't think of a time where I have. If I'm presenting somewhere, or if we're doing, a ceremony, I will get presented by somebody else that way. But I don't feel... Something about it doesn't feel natural to just walk up and say, "Hi, I'm Dr. Strout."
Interesting.
It's a weird phenomenon, and part of me thinks, so some people believe that you should go by that because it commands respect and professionalism, which I can see. But then my philosophy is you shouldn't have to do that by giving yourself a title and forcing people to call you by that title.
How else would they know where you fall on the spectrum
on the hierarchy?
And so part of this conversation came because I overheard Kelley say, "Oh, I work in the nursing department," and I felt like that was really way too generic for what it is that she does.
Yeah.
In her position.
But I'm glad you raised my attention to that, because I think that I try to minimalize. I don't want to be one of those people that's like braggy, I guess, is a
right.
Cocky.
Right.
So I think I really try to minimize. The other thing, too, is I was raised, my mom raised me, basically. She was a single mom until we met my dad. And I wasn't raised in that. I don't know. I almost feel like I'm... the book that we read for book club, Hillbilly Elegy?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't read it.
I've read enough about it.
Oh, there's this awesome story in the book, and I can totally relate to it. So he was at a store, and he had his Yale sweatshirt on, and someone in the store from the Hillbillies said, "Oh, did you go to Yale?" But he paused because he worried that if he said, "Yes, I went to Yale," he was kind of abandoning his group.
Right.
Because, you can buy a Yale shirt and not go to Yale. So he decided to lie, and he goes, "No, I didn't go to Yale. I just bought the shirt." But he did.
Right.
And I totally get that. I totally get that. It's like, yeah, I have a PhD and I'm a doctor, but at the same time, I don't want it to make me a different person.
Right. But doesn't it inherently, it doesn't make you a different person in your soul, but inherently it gives you it does give a different status. So one of the things, actually, I have to tell people not to call me doctor.
Yeah.
I really do, because because I teach a first year seminar, and so my students come in as brand new, fresh out of high school students, and in the first semester I have them for a 1-credit course, and they assume that anybody who's at a university has a PhD and will be like, oh, Dr. Schaefer. And so I have to try to explain to them the intricacies of titles in academia. And I'm technically an instructor because I only have 1 master's degree. And that they have some faculty who have PhDs and have doctorates and all that. And so one of the first things I teach them is, what do I call my professor? What do I call my instructor? So I say, for me, don't call me professor, because I'm not. Mm-hmm. I'm an instructor. You can just call me Ms. Schaefer. I'm comfortable with you calling me Gretchen, so call me that. But what I tell them to do is always go formal in the first contact, and then the other person will tell you what to say. So if you had one of my students, I teach them to come up and say, oh, hi, Dr. Strud. I'm sorry I missed class. I just didn't want to come. Mm-hmm. And then you might say, oh, please call me Kelley. Yeah. But they know that you're a doctor, and it forces them to like sort of understand that there is like a little bit of a hierarchy there. Yeah. And like in my own teaching, like, and that's not my teaching style, is to lord over students, but just to teach them that kind of, it's basically etiquette is what I'm trying to teach them. Yeah,
absolutely.
And so I'm like, so don't like email your faculty and be like, bro, what's up? Yeah. Just be like, oh, Dr. Smith, I won't be able to attend, blah, blah. And whatever they respond is usually a good cue as what you could say in the next conversation. So if they respond, Dr. Smith, stick with that. If they respond, Joe, then maybe you can write Joe or Mr. Smith. But I have to teach them about that. So I actually do get called doctor all the time. I'm like, no. People who get to be called doctor have done a lot more than I have, and they have earned that, and you better respect it. I don't like, I have seen lawyers who try to refer to themselves as doctor because they have a JD. Yeah. That one is my lawyer friends tell me that one is like a super definite no-no.
It's a faux pas.
Yeah. Yeah. Do not say that. So.
So I do teach etiquette too, believe it or not, to the seniors. Because still at the senior level, they won't be mindful of it. And I think then they get paranoid that I want to be called Dr. Stroh. And I'll tell them, even in my etiquette presentation, you can call me Kelley, but you always should start formal. Basically exactly the same thing you're saying. Because there is this, mixed group out there where some want to be called doctor and they always want to be referred to that way, whereas others don't. And I do think that kind of adds to student confusion.
If I ever got my PhD, I'd make my kids call me doctor. I'd be like, do you know what I had to do? Not mom anymore. It's Dr.
Schaefer.
Dr. Schaefer. Thank you very much.
So what do you think when you were a student, when professors, you must have had a mix of professors go both ways?
I definitely had a mix of and plus I was education. And so education in general I find, in my experience, tends to be a little bit more casual, a little bit more, really wanting to be empathetic and friendly and congenial, and it's not as formal as like, when you see like law school movies and stuff and they're doing the Socratic method and everyone's yelling and panicking and freaking. Yeah. Education tends to be a lot more like, oh, how you doing, Gretchen? Oh, things are great. It's a little bit more touchy-feely in that sense. So as a student at UMaine, it's been more, I think it was probably more casual than it would be in other departments because of education. And as a student now, because now I'm an MBA student, and it's funny because I'm taking classes from faculty that I've worked with for over a decade, and I'm taking one right now in management communication, and so it's a faculty member I've known this whole time, and she's wonderful, and I like her a lot. I actually helped design the class, and I kept working on designing the class, and I'd say, you realize I'm just making this harder for me. Yeah, right. Like I should try to make this easier. But I just had to email her about something about the class, and so it was funny because I went into my student account and was very formal in this management communication style that she had taught us about. But it was still, like, ridiculous because we are very casual.
Your colleagues.
Yeah, it's a colleague that I'm very, like, we've gone out to lunch together, and, you know, I would consider her a friend even. But to have this weird level of, okay, so I designed the course, but this part is, I think this part is messed up, and I can't edit it for you because I'm in the course, and, you know, let me walk you through it.
Oh, you're the best quality control, though, really.
I know. I'm designing my next course, too, with that faculty member now, and saying the same thing, like, you know, what you have now here would be really easy, but that's not what we're looking for. I want to, you know, so I'm making this harder for me. Yeah. But, so yeah, so it is, so now that I'm taking graduate courses with colleagues, it's another level of informality that I wouldn't even have if I was just a traditional, non-traditional MBA student.
Right. That's a whole other layer of complexity.
Yeah. So how old are you?
Well, I'll be 34 next month.
So you had your PhD before you were 30.
Yes.
And this is audio, but you look very young.
Yes, I do.
And because you're very petite and very
Short,
cheerful
yeah.
and all that. So how do you combat, are there things that you do consciously to try to make sure that you read as the instructor and not the student?
Mm-hmm. So I'm really mindful of this. In fact, age is my most sensitive topic because did progress. I think the average age of a nurse is 48. And so even before the PhD, I was working in fields where I would be the youngest person. And even when I started at the hospital, right out of nursing school, 21 years old, patients would be very nervous when I would, you know, just present myself because I looked so young.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you couldn't be a nurse. You're so young. So this has been something I've been very sensitive to. So I always make sure I dress very professionally. I have a lot of suit jackets or blazers. I dress almost exclusively at Talbot's.
Where are the old people going? And I need to go there.
I am like a diehard Talbot's shopper. I'm not gonna lie.
She's not lying.
I'm not either. I probably have my whole closet's Talbot's. I would do Ann Taylor too, but they're not around here.
Yes.
The other approach I take is naturally, I'm very laid back and giggly and some would say even ditzy. In fact, my husband, when we first started dating, we were 16 years old and we'd probably been dating maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and he said that he really liked me because I was like his mom. And I was first of all, that's a little odd. But then he said, you're an airhead just like my mom. And I was so offended. But
obviously, because then you went and said, well, I'm an airhead? Well, excuse me. Let's see you. So that was at 16.
Yes.
So it only took you like 13 years to prove him wrong?
Exactly.
I'm sorry. You have a master's degree in the middle?
Precisely. Yes.
Yeah.
So I think if you just talk to me on the street about we don't get into anything intellectual at all, you really would think I was an airhead because I got the curly hair, the spunky personality, and so in class with the students particularly and at work, I feel like I have to rein that in quite a bit because it accentuates I think my personality also accentuates how young I am. Mm-hmm. So
which will be an asset. I mean, the thing is that while you're dealing with age, the benefit is that you're only going to get older. So,
right.
You know, eventually you're going to age into it, and like they might find the balance, and you're going to be like, oh, she's that, you know, that perky 60-year-old who's so great, but is clearly, definitely, obviously older and has a lot of experience, and I should listen to her versus, you know, are you the student? Are you the teacher?
Right. So, I'm really strict in the classroom, and my brother's actually dating a former student of mine, and so I get the buzz on the street, and a lot of students will think I'm scary because I have James calls it work personality. So I have work personality and then everyday personality, but even he doesn't like work personality. It's like he'll back away from me when I'm in like focused around the house or something too. It's like, ooh, she turned on work personality. I don't like work personality.
I would love to be a fly on the wall in your class because I'd just be like, oh, yeah, interesting.
So I do try to keep it more. I have really strict expectations. I'm stern. I like to say I'm friendly but firm.
Yeah.
So those are some ways. But, you know, honestly, with the colleagues, sometimes it can be even more difficult because I did earn my PhD rather rapidly in comparison to other nurses. Mm-hmm. So I'll get a lot of criticism in the area of working in clinical, with my clinical experience.
Because a lot of times, and I think I've seen this at my school too, in that a nurse goes out and practices and is a practicing nurse, and then when their kids are older,
yes,
I think I'll go back and get my master's. Now I've done that, and now I think I'll get my doctorate. Like when I think about like even nursing faculty that I know, I think that has typically been the trajectory.
Yes.
Whereas you are sort of an overachiever and said, I'm going to become a nurse, I'm going to be a nurse, I'm going to get married, I'm going to have kids, I'm going to get a master's degree, I'm going to get a PhD, and done. And then you're tenure track faculty by the time you were
29. Yeah. Or 30, I guess. I guess I'm 4 years in, so yeah.
Yeah. But
it's frustrating because I don't walk around saying, well, we've heard me joke about the different, if you wanted an IV started, I could probably do it, but you would probably choose someone else.
Right.
But I don't walk around touting the fact I know all these things experientially. I really just focus on research and public health.
So I have a friend who is a nursing professor out west, and her trajectory is even more different than yours, and I think you would appreciate it in that she got her bachelor's degree in music and then went to Yale for the Master's of Nursing program and loved it so much that she got her PhD from Yale in nursing. Oh. So she's a researcher, and you would actually, I should show you some of her research because she does some really interesting things with researching Native American populations because she's Native American. So she talks about disparities in Native American healthcare and stuff like that. Oh, but she's like, I'm a doctor, nurse, but I don't even think she really practiced that much because she was on the research side of nursing, which people just don't understand that that's a thing that exists.
It's so
and it's
rare.
All the stuff that informs, and that's what's informing nurses who are actually practicing.
Exactly.
So it's important, and it's not like, oh, I'm a doctor nurse, so I give the best IVs ever.
Right, exactly. But because the historical evolution of nursing really is, and the typical trajectory is to work quite a long time in practice.
Overnight.
Yeah, do all the things, work your way up and then go back to school later. For, the regular population of nurses, the majority of nurses, they can't understand. It's not that they can't understand, it's just that it's foreign. It's a foreign concept to be 29 years old and on a research-based focus.
Well, and I think probably... nurses go into it, kind of talking about education being very touchy-feely. Nurses go into it because it's a caring profession.
Yeah.
I work with OT students as well as education students, and I'm like, and their big goal is like, it's a helping profession. And so it's almost always women.
Yeah.
And both classes. Actually, I was talking to one of my students, and they were saying how in another class they need to do this. And so I referred to the other student not knowing the gender. I said, oh, well, she can probably do this. And I said, actually, I shouldn't say that. And she's like, no, it's a woman. Like, of course it's a woman because it's education. Because there's, in my class now, I think I have 22, and there are 3 men in my class, 4 men. 3 of them are PE, and 1 is traditional K-8 education. So it's those caring professions get so stacked. So I think that probably also factors into it too, that when you are trying to present as a professional, but you're also a nurse, or you're trying to be kind and all those things that drew you to nursing in the first place, but also please remember that I am a professional.
Right.
And you need to listen to me.
Exactly. And sometimes working with, and I actually think it's become a lot easier, and maybe because I've learned with experience how to navigate certain situations. And the other thing too is that I greatly respect nurses who have a lot of experience, who are working in the field,
well, they can help inform your research.
Absolutely. And they have the greatest ideas. I mean, and I have such a great job now because I can go around to all these various settings where nurses work with people that wouldn't even think that nurses are working, and learn how each institution affects another, yet no one's talking. I mean, it really plays into our greater healthcare system, but I don't feel that I'm just as disrespected by those practicing nurses. And I'm not saying I'm disrespected. I just think that it's been a big challenge. I'd say my age has been my greatest professional challenge.
Yeah.
And I do, but we focus so much on ageism with adults over 40, and we even have laws in place to protect them. But I believe I personally experienced reverse ageism in my career many times.
Yeah, and I can see that because you do read very young.
Yeah.
And, very energetic. And even though you have 2 kids and a career and all that, like, you still manage to be very energetic.
Yeah.
So, and I would say that in mine is that, my professional career issue, or whatever you would call it, is just having done the same thing. And sometimes I did the leadership program last year, which was really interesting. And it was interesting in that it helped me understand that there are ways that my job and skills and strengths could transfer to other careers if I wanted to do it. And it kind of made me feel better about not choosing those. Like, I'm not doing this job just because I have to, or because it's the only job I can do, that I could translate a lot of the things that I do into other fields as well. So, but when you do the same thing for 11 years, you're kind of like, oh, well, I guess this is just the mine I'm going to be in for the rest of my life. And if I am, it's fine. I have good benefits. I feel like I get paid well. I have a great schedule. And at this season in my life, that is what I want. But then there's kind of part of me that's, reads Sheryl Sandberg and all this. And like, you should lean in. Lean in and tip over. And I'm kind of like, I just want to kind of lean back.
Yeah.
And be like, you know what? My bills are paid. We're doing okay. Like, we have we were just talking about houses earlier, and I have a little house. It's probably too small for me, but I also have an equally little mortgage. And I don't know that I would want to take on a much more aggressive career path to make a much more money to have a bigger house, that then I didn't have my summers and I didn't have the flexibility to be able to go to my kids' games and stuff like that. So for me, and again, that typically falls on women, even though I earn more than my husband, I have more flexibility, so I can do that. So it's a lot trickier for Dave to be able to go to games, or it's easier for me to stay home with a sick kid, take him to the appointment. And it's not because I am the mom, but because I have the career that affords me to do that. And then you get into that whole thing like, well, did I choose a career because I'm a woman? But even then, it's kind of a technology career that it blends teaching and technology together. So it's sort of a technology career, but it's also still a very female-dominated profession.
I get upset, though, when we try to say, as women, and I know this is more of a feminist movement, where we say, oh, well, we're almost speak disparagingly of choosing female-based careers. But at the same time, we are females, and it's a reality that we have these competing responsibilities that men just don't have. And I think in many ways, women are doing a great job balancing work and family. I think in nursing, I feel like in nursing there's more pay equity than there is when you look at teaching and other female-dominated professions. And one of my biggest pet peeves is when people are like, oh, it doesn't matter that I'm kind of saying it myself. It doesn't matter that I don't make that much money. I like what I do. But also when people try to tout like, oh, teachers need to have passion and it's a calling. Like, yeah, you do, but also you need to be able to pay your bills. Yeah. And I had a job offer from one local school district, and I was shocked at the pay scale. And I probably could have walked away making about what I make now, but it would have been off the scales for what they're actually paying teachers. So they're starting, brand new teachers at less than $30,000. And I don't know how anyone can afford to do that. And then they don't give them a budget to get their classroom started, and they don't do all this, but then they wrap it all up in, but it's a passion, and you're so good and you love kids. Like, yeah, great, I'm loving your kids, so why can't we devote more money into teacher pay and to all that? So yeah, we were at we had an end of the year party for my work, my department, and we were at a restaurant, and the woman who was our waitress, it came out at the end of the night that she's a teacher. And she'd been teaching all day, and then she was waitressing at night. Not that I'm against people having 2 jobs, but the teacher wage debate is a good debate. Yeah. I mean,
that'd be a whole other show. So,
and I want to say one more thing. So you said earlier in in the discussion that you might you were planning to earn an MBA and you may never use it. But my argument is you always use all education. So even if you're not overtly using it, you're probably already using it.
I would agree, actually, because this management class I was talking about, we did a whole thing on meetings, and it kind of brought to light some things I have in some meetings that I do, and I'm going to actually try to make some changes with the meetings that I am part of because of that. So I definitely, and I'm sure I'll use it, and just even making connections, and, it's one of those things where you always use every bit of education. That's why we're in education, right? Because we believe in it. So,
right, exactly.
So if I can learn more, then that's awesome. So it's time for favorite things.
Ooh, okay. So my favorite thing is, one of my favorite things ever, and you already know this, is DevaCurl.
And what is DevaCurl,
I'm
Kelley?
so obsessed with DevaCurl. So I spent, I'd say, 32 years of my life straightening my hair. And
that picture of you and your son from his first birthday,
yeah.
I didn't think it was you.
Yeah,
I was like, who's that with James?
Straight hair. So I occasionally let it go curly when I didn't have time, but mostly flat iron, straightening my hair, or roll brushed blow dry. And one summer I had a really bad haircut. My hair was so uneven. And having curly hair, you can hide bad haircuts really well with curls.
Yes.
So I went on Amazon and just searched, best rated curly hair gel. And it was DevaCurl gel. And I fell so in love with the gel that I started researching the products, and now I'm a fool. They should hire me, really. They should hire me to be like
they should, because I have tried it, and I have like the little trial size kit, but I end up using like 40 different shampoos, but they're all like the silicone free and sulfate free and all that kind of stuff. So it's sort of natural, but I definitely need another haircut because my hair's getting too long.
Do you get a Diva cut?
I got one last time, so I think I'm going to get another one, but it was not at your stylist. It was a different salon.
Oh no, I'm going to that salon now.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing this week is going to be the plated subscription that I tried.
Yep.
So my friend has reviewed all of them, and I asked her, I said, which one would you recommend? And she said plated. So I signed up with a free box from her, and with that free box, I got some great meals, and kind of like in our last episode, it was so nice the best part was that I didn't have to think about what to make beyond picking the recipes. And so I've done 2 weeks. This week I skipped because this is a busy week for us in general, and I am missing it so much this week that I don't have it. And so next week it's coming, and it's so easy. It's like I can just be... It's mental load is one that we should absolutely talk about.
Yes.
We need to do an episode on that. But it takes the mental load off. It's like, tonight I'm going to have... Oh, look here. It says I'm going to have... crunchy chicken something, and it has the vegetables and it has the sauce, and my daughter, who loves to cook and is learning to cook, it has all the things written out. One of the things that I've done is when I get the cards, I have a laminator and I laminate them. I do. So because the recipes, even if I decide not to stick with the subscription for much longer, at least I have these recipes. I can be like, that was a good meal. I just need chicken. I just need panko. So plated is my recommendation. There's a ton of food boxes, but honestly, just having it be that I don't have to think about dinner and it's just available, and I make it and we eat, and it's good and tasty and relatively healthy, is my favorite thing this week.
I've tried plated too, and it's not only convenient and nice, but the food's actually really good. It's simple. It's not.
Yeah.
Because I've tried another one, and it was so complicated. It seriously took me 3 hours. I don't have that kind of time.
No, I don't have that kind of time. I can take 45 minutes, and one thing I love about it is that it says do this and then start this and then do that. So it
even manages it for you.
It manages the time for me. So I'm like, all right, and I have an idea of when dinner's going to be ready, and it's been great. So that's my favorite thing. So nice. All right,
I love it.
That's it for this episode. Bye.
Bye.